Working in Singapore has crossed every Malaysian's mind at least once. Whether your mother tells you lah or you see your friends earning the big bucks, you would have thought about it. But is it as good as they say, or is the 3 times worth it? Let's find out. We have Jason over here who loves our food too much to live, so he chose to work in Malaysia. And then there's Sarah on the other end who wants to earn that 3 times and thinks Singapore food is equally good, leaving Malaysia for Singapore. And since both of them like a stable life, we'll assume that they are working as account executives. For Jason, his salary is 3.2k ringgit per month, which is around the average base salary of an account exec in KL of 3,286 ringgit. Sarah too starts at 3,200 Sing dollar, which is the average base salary in Singapore. And if you notice, surprisingly, the average base salary for account execs based on Indeed is a little lower compared to that in Malaysia. But then again, Malaysians working in Singapore tend to be paid less than the locals. I mean, quite normal also lah, they also need to prioritize their own local talents, right? Now that we have their salary, let's move on to the expenses. We'll go from fixed cost to variable cost so that we cover most of the base expenses that you and I normal humans will incur. Now, people always say that housing is so much more expensive in Singapore than in KL, but the truth is, they're actually not that much different. Here, Jason, who works in TRX KL, which is the city center, decides to rent a room in Jeraseh and for 850 ringgit a month, inclusive of utilities, and he commutes to work every single day. No work from home. Why Vertica? Because it's connected to the MRT and just 2 stops away from TRX, and Jason doesn't have a car since he's just a freshie, right? So MRT and his legs is the way to go. Now, on the other hand, Sarah works in Raffles Place, rents a room in Sengkang, which is a bit further from the CBD, for cheaper rent of course. She pays around 850 Sing dollar per month, also inclusive of utilities, but she has to commute much longer to work. That, my friend, is the sacrifice that Sarah has to make. Either that or spend 90% of her salary renting in the CBD. I mean, the choice is pretty clear, right? And since we are on the commuting topic, let's talk about transportation. In Malaysia, Klang Valley to be specific, it's 50 ringgit for the My50 monthly pass, which is an unlimited pass for LRT, MRT, bus, and every other public transport you can think of. So, of course, Jason will use the My50 pass when he travels to work. And without a pass, it is going to cost Jason roughly 60 ringgit per month just to commute from his place to TRX every single workday. Hence, the My50 pass makes sense. Meanwhile, over in Singapore, they also have a monthly pass, but it's only for Singaporean citizens and PR only. It's priced at 128 Sing dollar, which is way more than what Sarah needs, because commuting from Sengkang to Raffles Place for work would only cost her roughly 75 Sing dollar per month. But it will take her 40 minutes to an hour just on the train, easily 2 times longer than Jason's trip. Well, friends, that's a sacrifice she made for cheaper rent. And this is also on the assumption that Sarah has no life beyond work in Singapore. She only goes to work and goes home every single day and prefers to stay in her room to save all the commuting money so that she can bag all the 3 times cash and maybe open a business or even retire early in Malaysia after that. But still, Sarah has to eat lah, so for food wise, if you have ever been to Singapore, you will know it is comparatively cheaper than Malaysia. But not better lah, right? Let me know in the comments down below if you agree with me. A fillet of fish from McD in Malaysia costs around 15 ringgit, but in Singapore, it's only about $7.50. But don't convert to Malaysian ringgit lah, since we are comparing this dollar to dollar. Anyways, even a plate of chicken rice here is easily 8 ringgit or more, but it's only around 5 Sing dollar or even less in Singapore. What the heck? Groceries wise, it is also a similar situation. A simple basket of say milk, eggs, bread and chicken breast will cost Jason easily over 50 ringgit in Malaysia. But Sarah, she will barely spend 22 Sing dollar for the same stuff in Singapore. So from here, we can conclude that for every meal in Malaysia, it's easily double the price in Singapore. Again, dollar to dollar. So let's say Jason allocated about 40 ringgit per day for meals, it is about 1.2k ringgit per month. And with the assumption that Singapore has half the price as compared to Malaysia, Sarah only needs around 600 Sing dollar per month to go by. And if you're wondering why Singapore's prices are so much cheaper than ours in Malaysia, it's because their government put a lot of effort into controlling their currency so that their imports are priced at a more reasonable and affordable price for their people. Do check out this video if you want to learn more. And lastly, let's go over the miscellaneous living costs that we might have missed out on, such as the mobile phone monthly plan, because come on, without Wi-Fi or data, Jason and Sarah wouldn't be able to watch my video, right? Anyways, Jason will have to pay around 40 ringgit a month for unlimited calls and 120GB of data, enough for Jason to watch 80 videos at 720p. And for the similar plan, Sarah's cost is around 22 Sing dollar in Singapore. Therefore, assuming that both of them don't have a partner, likes to stay at home and don't really go out that much, which honestly sounds a little depressing, that's pretty much their spending. And at the end of the month, after deducting all the essential expenses, Jason will be left with around 1,000 ringgit, while Sarah sits at a higher saving amount of 1,600 Sing dollar. So as you can see here, we have a clear winner. And if you convert the Sing dollar to Malaysian ringgit, I mean, wow, Sarah can save around 5,000 ringgit a month, 5 times of what Jason saved. Guys, the power of 3 times. But money aside, is it worth leaving Malaysia to work in Singapore? Although yes, the food expenses are indeed cheaper over there, but remember, life is more than just food. Sorry foodie. When you grow older, there are other factors that you should also consider as well. First and foremost, career growth. Working in Singapore can offer you significant advantages, especially since it's recognized as Asia's leading financial hub. You will get much more exposure and also opportunity to high impact work. And like it or not, their education is much better than that of Malaysia, which also means you'll be working with more highly educated professionals. Not to mention, it is a country with a large expat community, so you have the chance to collaborate with people from diverse backgrounds, helping you learn and also gain new perspectives, which is great for your personal growth as well. Of course, I'm not saying you can't achieve this in Malaysia, it's just comparatively easier in Singapore since our education system still has way more years to catch up. And oh, by the way, if you're interested in learning more about this, like and comment and maybe I'll make a video on this topic. Anyways, as we grow older, there's one big consideration that we will usually face, which is buying a property. For Malaysians, it's usually straightforward. Just buy a house in Malaysia where prices are comparatively lower in general. But for those in Singapore, it can be much more complicated. Property prices there are crazy high, with condos easily costing above 1.5 million Sing dollar. I mean, with that kind of money, you can easily get a landed double-story house here already. I know there's affordable housing like the HDB flats or BTO units, which can start around 300,000 Sing dollar, but you see, there are lots of restrictions for Malaysians to buy them. Firstly, you have to be a permanent resident. If you are not a PR, don't even dream of buying a house in Singapore. Secondly, you are only eligible to buy a resale HDB, not a new one. The resale prices are also more expensive at around 500,000 Sing dollar or even more. And you also can't own any property outside of Singapore if you want to buy their HDB. So don't dream of owning a house in Malaysia and buying one in Singapore as well. What's worse is if you are single, I don't know why they want to discriminate that, you can only buy them when you're over 35 years old, even if you have the money, unless you want to give up your Malaysian IC or, go find a partner. So if you will be back before 35 years old, then no problem, just buy a house in Malaysia. But if you plan to stay in Singapore for longer, then better get a PR, get married, or else just come back. And if you have plans to drive around in Singapore, well, sorry to burst your bubble, because you might want to think twice. Because you see, the cheapest car you can get over there will easily cost you more than 120,000 Sing dollar, as compared to our very own Perodua Beza, which costs only around 44,000 ringgit over here. This massive price difference is all thanks to their sky-high COE prices, which is designed by the Singaporean government to discourage car ownership. So to all the car lovers, you might want to add this into your consideration when you are moving to Singapore. Also, do you notice quite a lot of Singaporeans come to Malaysia to splurge and hang out on the weekends to blow off some steam? Have you ever wondered why they do so? That's because it's much more stressful working in Singapore since their work expectations are much higher. If Singaporeans are already exhausted by their high work expectations, imagine the stress faced by foreign workers from countries like Malaysia. It's even harder if you don't have family or even friends nearby to support you through those challenging times. This isolation can be overwhelming for some people, so if you prefer a more laid-back lifestyle, then you know where to go. And as Malaysians, we will definitely have better employment benefits in our own country than being as a foreigner in Singapore. Just to give you an example, Malaysians were previously able to contribute and also receive contributions from employers to their CPF until 2023, when the Singaporean government changed the CPF system to make it only for Singaporeans. And from then on, foreign workers, including Malaysians, were no longer eligible to contribute to their CPF. Employers were also not required to contribute anymore, which leaves foreign workers planning for their own retirement. But in the case of Malaysians working in Singapore, they have found alternative solutions such as contributing to their retirement schemes back home, like EPF, or becoming the PR after 6 months of working there, but without guarantee one lah. So what do you think? Would you rather work and stay in Malaysia or in Singapore? And do you want to see the actual opinions of Malaysians working in Singapore? Let me know in the comments down below. Until then, check out this video where I compared the retirement funds between Malaysia and Singapore. See you over there.